Here. Hilliard.
Here.
Leach.
Here.
Reynolds. Newman. Parrott. Here. We have four.
Join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
That really sounds good when there's a crowd here. Anyone like to make a public comment? We got a public hearing. We got to have a public hearing. So we'll have a public hearing on the amendment of the business district to include 161 and 191 East Queenswood Road. If anybody wants to speak to that, they can speak to that now. If not, we'll close that hearing. Now, if anybody would like to make a public comment on anything in the village, you're welcome to do that now. If not, the consent agenda tonight is the approval of the minutes, the regular meeting of September 16th, 2024, and the approval of the bills. If we could have a motion.
So moved. Second.
Any questions? Call the roll.
Parrott.
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Hilliard.
Yes.
Blunier.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. I have the privilege of appointing a new fire chief. So Justin, if you'd meet me at the microphone. Oh, that's right. Got to have a vote. So if we could have a motion to approve Justin Hale as new fire chief here in Morton, Illinois.
Second.
Any questions, comments? Call the roll.
Blunier.
Yes.
Hilliard.
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Parrott.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, thank you. The village clerk, I'll swear Justin in here, and it's really a privilege to have Justin here. He's been working with us a year and a half and been acting chief. And by all of you here tonight, I guess we were going to make sure we had the votes to get this done tonight. So thank all of you for attending and supporting Justin here. We have a great fire department, great paramedics, and it's nice to see it continue with Justin. So Justin, thank you.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Justin Hale,
Having been appointed
having been appointed
to the office of
to the office of
Director of Fire and Emergency Services,
Director of Fire and Emergency Services,
do solemnly swear or affirm
do solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the state of Illinois,
and the state of Illinois.
and that I will faithfully discharge
I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duty of the office
of Director of Fire and Emergency
of the
Services
Director of Fire and Emergency Services
to the best of my ability.
to the best of my ability.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
I tried to get him to talk.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you.
So it's okay, we're going to sneak out into the next room and get a picture with everybody that's here.
Yep.
And we'll leave the meeting.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you.
It's quite a trip. Fire marshal. You've been here a long time, haven't you? Yeah. How long? Yeah. You're the only one of
One of the few old dogs left, right?
Pardon?
One of the few old dogs left.
Yeah. We moved to Florida 4 years ago.
Yeah, I mean,
Come back to Florida.
At 35, yes, again.
Oh, jeez.
Roll back up there.
Yeah,
Get away from that.
You sold your place down on Main,
Yeah.
right? So you're in Florida all year. Oh, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Congratulations, Justin.
No problem. I got here and said, wait a minute. Just wait a minute. Eric made it. Change it.
Okay. So we'll continue. Village clerk, do you have anything?
Nothing tonight, Your Honor.
Village administrator.
I have one item tonight, Your Honor. The business district has made recommendations for two separate businesses for grants. Can I get a motion?
Why don't you read them all?
Okay. The first one is Norma's Fast License at 632 West David, Suite B, who is wanting a new sign for $4,915.68, which would give them a grant of $2,457.84. And the second one is Morton Plaza at 959 West Jackson, and they have project cost of $21,525, which would give them a grant of $10,000. They are going to repaint the exterior and replace the exterior lighting.
Move approval.
Any questions? Comments? Call the roll.
Hilliard.
Yes.
Parrot. Yes. Blunier.
Yes.
Leach.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Chief of Police?
Two items tonight, Your Honor. The first being a request to transfer $15,514.74 from the Tourism Tax Fund back into the General Fund to pay for expenses incurred during the Morton Pumpkin Festival.
Move to approve. Second.
Any comments?
Okay, so as you can see, we came in just a couple $100 over the 2023 expenses, which I think was a good thing, considering that we had more full-time officers on the grounds and working the parade than we'd ever had before. And I just kind of wanted to speak to the benefit of the 3 police officers that we added to the police department last year. We were able to, in the first time in my recollection, use solely Village of Morton employees for the race, the parade, and on the festival grounds. That includes street department employees, police department, auxiliary police. Normally, we'd have to rely on other agencies, and much like ourselves, they're busier. They're trying to operate, with fewer people, more tasks, more requirements on them. We also were able to have what we called a grounds officer every day of the festival, where we had a full-time officer that basically was supervising the ground operations in addition to myself and the deputy chief being there every single night. So it was a big help, and we were also able to staff the streets at the same level that we do every other night of the week, which we've increased the staffing on every shift pretty much every night, every day of the week now. So the streets weren't covered less because we were covering the grounds more. So
That's good to know.
very few problems throughout the whole entire festival. We got a lot of positive feedback about the new auxiliary uniforms. They were much more recognizable. Got positive feedback from them as well. They're there to help serve, and if people don't come up to them because they don't recognize them, they can't serve in their role. So I think that was a benefit. The barriers, kind of like the deputy chief had already spoke about, a lot of good feedback about them, not just from the public, but from the officers. The officers felt safer as well, knowing that the whole entire scene was more secure, so they weren't having to constantly worry about vehicular traffic coming into pedestrian areas. So I know that Deputy Chief Brock had personally mentioned the street department and Kip Toffer, and again, it goes without saying that we couldn't have done what we were able to do without their help and assistance. So that was a benefit. And as far as moving the barriers in place, I think there was some concern about how that was all going to work, and it pretty much was a seamless operation the whole entire way through, and we were able to completely shut down Main and Jefferson for the entirety of the parade, which just added an extra level of safety. So, of other note, though, is there's a recall on Ford police interceptor vehicles, and it was, I think, a good thing that we've been proactive in adding vehicles to our fleet, because there's no repairs for the particular recall right now. And so we're still able to operate the vehicles, but we've told our officers to be aware of what the warning signs are. And if that was to happen, we still have some older vehicles that are still patrol equipped that we can immediately put into the rotation and use. And we were able to have enough vehicles during the festival because of those additional officers and the additional manpower that we had vehicles for them to drive also because of those extra cars that we have kind of added to the fleet. So that's been a huge help also. So.
I noticed the last 2 years at the rate of over 15,000, that's almost double 22.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
in the world we live today, it does take more security. So thank you, Chief.
The second item I have this evening relates to license plate readers or LPRs. So it's an approval to enter into an agreement with Flock Safety for the purchase of 5 additional license plate readers. With the first year, the cost of $21,250 being covered by an Office of the Attorney General Organized Retail Crime Grant. We had asked that the board approve 5 additional cameras at the beginning of this fiscal year, which was approved, and those have been purchased and installed. But while we were talking about that, I think Trustee Hilliard in particular had asked if there was grant funding available going forward to add additional cameras. And this particular grant opened up, I believe, in July, and I applied for it, and we were awarded a full 1-year amount. Now, this is a year-to-year grant, and the way Flock Safety works is they ask that you sign a 2-year agreement. The anticipation is that we'll apply for the same grant next year. However, if we don't receive that grant, we do have a funding source for the second year identified already. We had received some money from forfeiture funds related to a methamphetamine case that we'd had several years back. Those funds are earmarked for particular things, and one of those things would be LPRs for your community. So with that being said, if that was to be approved, I think we would need a resolution at a later time to modify the current agreement that we have with Flock.
Okay, so we need to approve.
Yeah, so it would be, it's a full 2-year amount, so your contract's $36,250.
Okay. All right, so if we could have a motion for the approval of the expenditures for the Pumpkin Festival expenses, $15,514.74. We did, okay. Let's vote on that then.
Okay. So voting on the Pumpkin Festival expense transfer. Lanier?
Yes.
Hilliard?
Yes.
Leach?
Yes.
Parrot? Yes. Motion carries.
All right, thank you. And now for the Flock Safety of $36,250. If we have a motion. Any comments? Call the roll. Okay.
Great work getting the grant. I think it's wonderful. We'll reach out and give you great idea. I believe it was Trustee Hilliard that idea. I think that's awesome. I said this every time we voted on this, and I realize that it's probably going to go through without my consent, but I'm still not on board with license plate readers. I fully recognize how helpful they are to the officers and how good they are at fighting crime. I just can't get past the kind of big brother aspect of it.
All right, any other comments? Call the roll.
Lanier? Yes. Hilliard?
Yes.
Leach?
Yes.
Parrot?
No.
Motion carries.
Just vote because it's an expenditure, you need the 48 votes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Anything else, Chief?
Nothing else tonight, Your Honor.
All right, thank you. Corporation Counsel?
One item tonight, Your Honor, that is an ordinance approving an alteration in the exterior boundaries of the Morton Business District to include 161 and 191 East Queenwood Road.
Move approval of ordinance 25-07.
Any comments?
I just want to clarify and make sure everybody understands that when you look at the colored piece of paper, the 3 buildings are not actually included. And it's just everything that's exterior to that. But those 3 buildings would not be able to apply for a business district grant, just to let you know.
Those are residential condos, and so the condos have separate tax identification numbers and are legally separate parcels, and seem inconsistent with the purpose of the district to include those.
Okay. Call the roll.
Parrot? Leach?
Yes.
Blunier?
Yes.
Hilliard?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Anything else?
Nothing else, Your
All
Honor.
right. Director of Fire Emergencies is getting his picture taken. Director of Public Works.
3 items tonight, Your Honor. Item A, I'd like to waive formal bidding and ask for acceptance of proposal from Bob Grimm Chevrolet for a new 2025 Chevy Silverado 1500 double cab four-wheel drive truck for the Water Distribution Department in the amount of $44,165.
Could I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Any comments?
Just real quick, this was not budgeted. This was, this is, I guess, unplanned expense. Truck 26 is about 10 years old. It's a frontline locator truck, Julie truck, that operates both water distribution and gas distribution. So it's at a point that it broke down and isn't worth repairing, especially per the mechanic. So we'd like to get this truck back on the streets as quick as possible. So it'll be about 10 to 12 weeks to get this truck.
Is that from a contract, government contract?
It is not from a government contract. Most of these pickups don't have government contracts. So we typically solicit proposals from the local dealers. On this one, we did solicit from Lighthouse and Bob Grimm. Ford hasn't been that interested in giving us proposals in the last several years. So we at least make sure to get 2 of them. This is pretty close to the price we had last year, too.
All right, no other comment? Call the roll.
Hilliard?
Yes.
Leach?
Yes.
Blunier?
Yes.
Parrot? Motion carries.
Item B in front of you is the MFT salt resolution. Like approval on.
Motion?
Second.
This is just our annual appropriation of MFT funds. This would be for calendar year 2025. And this year, we'd like to appropriate through IDOT for these funds of $102,000. This is lower than typical. If you've driven by 450 Detroit, we've got salt coming out our ears again. So we kind of backed it off a little bit. So we did enter a 80-20 contract here coming up where minimum we have to take is, I think it's 800 tons. So we should be in good shape this year. At some point, I'd like to use a little bit of it. It keeps scooting further out, so.
All right, any comment? If not, call the roll.
Parrot? Yes. Blunier?
Yes.
Leach?
Yes.
Hilliard?
Yes.
Motion carries.
And lastly, item C, this is an ordinance approving a waste collection franchise agreement with Area Disposal Service.
Before the motion, I wanted to make a note on this. I worked again last week with Craig on a couple amendments that aren't reflected in the version that's in the board packet. And I've coordinated with the clerk to, where your copy attached to the resolution would have my changes. There are minor changes to sections 3.1 and 3.2 to make clear what the basic services are and to use a defined term as enrolled single-family dwelling as the per. So it's $18 per enrolled single-family dwelling per month. So there are technical changes. One other change is I make clear that the extra tote isn't a part of the basic services, and a change indicating we do a separate memorandum of understanding in regards to the enrollment process. So I would suggest that it would be appropriate for the motion to be to approve the resolution with a revised waste collection agreement with my changes reflected.
Approval of ordinance 2508 as amended by corporate attorney. Second.
Any comments?
If I could explain, this is just a brief summary. Obviously, Area Disposal Service is doing business as GFL Environmental. Eric Shangrell's in the audience and represents GFL, and I've been working with him for about 13 years now, my time here. So we're excited to move forward again. I just wanted to stress, obviously I get a lot of questions from the public, but we did, obviously with all of you guys, spent a lot of time on this. Thank you to Trustee Leach, Mayor Kaufman, lots of meetings. We did our due diligence, and I feel really good about this. Obviously, we met with all of you, and I feel what's in front of us is a unanimous consensus to move forward on this 7-year agreement. The one other thing that is not on here tonight would be that's really different from our previous is we will be doing the billing going forward. So what your improvement tonight is for Morton to do the billing, but that's not in front of you. So hopefully in one of the next couple meetings, we'll have that ready for you. I did put a spreadsheet on there, at least to give you guys what we've kind of agreed to, kind of a consensus on what we're looking to bill going forward. So just wanted to add that. And this new agreement will commence January 1, 2025. So I'd be glad to answer any other questions or add some additional information if needed.
Any comments or questions? Not, call the roll.
Leach.
Yes.
Blunier.
Yes.
Hilliard.
Yes.
Parrot. Yes. Motion carries.
That's all I have tonight, Your Honor.
All right.
Your Honor, the only thing I'd like to say is there will be some confusion as we make the changeover, and I think it's incumbent upon us to ensure that the residents know some of the rules that are in here as far as the totes that you can get and stuff. So if there's a way we might be able to do that with, I don't know if we have some room in our utility billing, then
Yeah.
maybe at least by December we'd be able to put something in so that they can know. Because there are some unique things that I think are really great about the program. The fact that people can go with the 95-gallon tote is great. They need to know, though, that if they want one, if they currently have a 65 or 35, it's going to cost them, $65 one-time charge. The other thing is no longer alley pickup. There are going to be people who may still put things out in the alley, and they're not going to go down the alleys. They're only going to go on the streets at curbside. We need to try to make sure that they don't cause GFL problems and call up and say, you missed me. We need to make sure that they're aware of that. And then the other thought is, I'm not sure that people really realize that they could be able to do this, but we have the ability now to go with a 3-month cycle for yard waste. You can use the 65-gallon yard waste container, and they'll pick up yard waste weekly, or you can go with the 95-gallon one, and they'll pick up weekly. I think that's great. People would, I think, might be able to, or might appreciate that they don't have to take things manually out to GFL's facility in Morton. I think it's a great price that they're offering it at. And also then, the one thing I know that you and I have mentioned to GFL was on recycles. There are people who don't break down their cardboard. They just put it on top or around the container. They need to understand that the contractor, which is GFL, is not obligated under any contract that they have to stop and pick any of that up. So if they're going to continue to do something like that, they may need to go with the 95-gallon tote instead of the 65-gallon. So those are all things I think that we need. It's imperative on us to push that information to the homeowners, because if they don't understand and don't know, they'll complain that they didn't know, and then we'll be at fault for that. And it's not going to be GFL's problem, it's going to be ours, since we're going to be doing the billing. So I just think those are some of the key points that we need to get across to homeowners.
And Eric's, I want to speak for you, but you guys are committed to putting together, like other communities, a pamphlet and all that, so this being approved, we'll move forward with that.
About 84 city contracts that we have. Morton has over 4 features and options in it. Any of those other contracts, we wish to all those things, so impact and pressure, all those features. Something you do also need.
So we'll work with them to get something together to get it out. We could even put it on the TV too.
And I think it needs to be a refresher too of what recyclables are, because everybody's
Yep.
garbage, the lid is kind of worn off.
Yep.
What can and can't go in there. Okay.
Thank you so much.
So, any other questions? Call the roll.
think you already
Oh, we did.
Yeah, that's like, I thought we were good.
All right.
Sorry to take so much time.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? Okay, zoning code enforcement officer.
I've got one item tonight, Your Honor. It is petition 2406ZA.
We could have a motion.
Second.
You want to explain it a little bit?
Yep, this was given a favorable recommendation from the Plan Commission meeting this month. This is going to be a rezoning from B2 to I1 there on Penn Street at the Opperly Construction property. Just an effort to clean up zoning across the whole town, basically. I mean, this has been kind of an odd duck there. It's kind of surrounded by I, it's connected to I, and it's just efforts to clean everything up, usages, and the whole area. This is just one step towards a cleaner zoning area.
Any other questions or comments? Call the roll.
Parrot? Yes. Leach?
Yes.
Hilliard?
Yes.
Blunier? Yeah. Motion carries.
Village trustees, do you have anything tonight? If not, if we could have a motion to adjourn. Not read that.
Closed session is requested tonight for the purpose of discussing pending litigation per 5 ILCS 120/2C11.
We get a motion to adjourn to closed session.
Second.
Call the roll.
Blunier? Yes. Hilliard?
Yes.
Leach?
Yes.
Parrot? Motion carries.
What happens if you say no?